Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah.
Just normal and
Okay, so what we're
Don't film
gonna
it.
I'll do the
Yeah.
time. I don't know, let's have
It's probably gonna be underrated, but it's fine. Overrated, sorry. Who?
Do what job?
The moderator?
Don't worry.
yeah.
No, the moderator is absent right now.
Oh yeah, it was
It
supposed to be
Tristan.
Tristan. SMH. Alright, fine, I'll do it.
Tito, you're gonna be the moderator.
Moderator? Yeah, okay, so you stop them at 3 minutes and you
Take
come.
that, and you make sure that they respect the time limits. You stop them when they get there. Okay?
So,
What
alright,
will
now
be
it's
the
other
stopping
team.
noise?
Affirmative team.
Like
Affirmative.
Not stopping, like
Disagree.
you're expected to stop, or else we're gonna say decorum.
Yeah, yeah,
If you say
affirmative.
stop, it's just gonna be the word stop.
Sorry.
Stop!
You know,
You're just gonna scream.
Can we use the debate vocabulary so he says decorum?
Oh,
Who?
Decorum.
Could you just not?
only if it takes no time to learn.
Yeah, it's decorum.
Could you go to your seat?
It means stop.
Can you knock
I
when
mean,
it's 2
stop.
minutes 45?
I don't have a.
One lock is
I think it means
Don't
stop.
worry.
Just don't
Oh,
worry
wait,
about
It's a
it.
fancy shot.
Yeah, you're gonna need a stopwatch.
Do it with
Yeah.
your phone.
Just do it.
Don't
Oh,
worry.
here we go, people. We're starting.
Okay, well,
Now, with the time
before we
limit
start,
respect-
good luck and have fun.
How about back up? Start from the timing from the first word.
Okay, so affirmative team, you have 3 minutes.
Fellow computer scientists, dear friends, listen to my words. Listen to my words with care, because you chose to study at EPITA, which means that you, more than anyone else, should know how much valuable privacy is. As you know, we live in an age of information, and this means that he who has the data controls the world. Data is a superpower that can be used for evil. When you have enough information, you can break up relationships, ruin careers, and worst, overthrow leaders. And since you will study in computer science, I want you to remember something. That is that with great powers come great responsibilities, and that you accepted the moral duty of helping those who don't know what encryption is or how a network works. We all know that the world is full of many conmen, many scammers, and many other malevolent entities who want to target you and your users. They may want to do it to get money or to fulfill some political agenda, or just for the sake of terrorizing people. So, we all know what they are going to say. They will tell you that you should trust governments, and that it's not your job to assure the security of people. But let me just say this. 40 years from now, you'll be the parents of beautiful and smart daughters who may want to run for presidency or become CEO. And if that goes against the current government's interest, you can be sure that the government will do whatever in its might to prevent her from fulfilling her dream. So, go on and choose. Who do you want to trust? Those who want to keep your secrets, or those who want to sell them out?
Thank you, Maddie. Negative team, you have 1 minute for rebuttal.
But we, just give us a second. No, just. So just 1 minute.
Yep.
Okay. I'd just like to wish everybody a good morning and the adjudicator a well morning. First of all, I would like to start by saying to rebuttal against our opposition team today that our debate today is about security versus privacy. We are not going to be discussing about the implications of how they will be used by humans. And therefore, we have chosen today to be talking about how security can be used as a tool for our modern day society. We have seen that our opposition has talked about he who has the data controls the world, if that's correct of what I believe.
Yes.
for us, this is not the case. We are not talking about who has the data, who is doing the surveillance or having the security. We are talking about how security can be used as a tool to protect us and to ensure a safe society.
Thank you, Declan. Mathieu, you have 3 minutes.
So in this debate of privacy versus security, we are arguing for the security side of things. The first thing to know is that favoring security over privacy works. I have a few examples for that, but you can find numerous examples online for this. The first example is that back in September of 2018, the Netherlands police managed to stop a major terrorist attack before it happened. Thanks to what? To the intelligence services, which, as we all know, are more or less entirely based on favoring security over privacy. So by accessing some of the data and noticing some specific patterns from the 7 people who wanted to attack others in Netherlands, the police was able to detect the attack and managed to stop it before it even happened. There's also another example, once again from the Netherlands, from 2013, where they were tipped off by the NSA directly, meaning that even other countries can cooperate. Another example, this one is in France and is from 2015, is that this time it was not about surveillance, proactive surveillance, but once again it was about favoring security over privacy. The intelligence services of France were able to stop, once again, another terrorist attack before it happened, except that this time they were able to get more information about the attack. They know that the attack was planned, but didn't really have much information, but they were able to get more information by snooping through the laptops and the phones of the attackers after they were arrested, meaning that they got more information by getting inside the potential attacker's privacy. Another thing that needs to be kept in mind is that surveillance and any other breach of privacy does not necessarily imply anything for you, meaning that the only real consequences are going to be settled in court, meaning that even if the government has your data, you're not really going to have anything happen to you. We still live in countries which are based around a judicial system, meaning that you will be put in prison or have a fine if you have something that will be held against you in a court case. You will only be in trouble if you have done something wrong, and you will only be shown to be guilty if there are enough proofs against you. Meaning that surveillance in itself doesn't mean that you're going to suddenly go to prison. Only the justice system will say that will have the final say on whether you'll go to prison or not.
That's 3 minutes. Aristide, you have 1 minute for a rebuttal.
Okay. So if I understand it correctly, you don't want to state security data as power. However, you just said, so if I understand correctly, you just said that data is necessary to empower the government to stop terrorists.
That is not really what I think. Okay.
Now, are really governments this trustworthy? Political interest is no national interest. The whole foundation of democracy lays on the fact that votes are anonymous. This means that a government that knows by data, a government that has the interest to stay in power, has an interest in gathering data to stay in power. Finally, the role of the state is not only to secure persons physically.
That's
one thing that is.
You have 3 more minutes.
Constructive speech.
So, one thing is, governments do not have only to protect your physical security, but also your fundamental liberties. When you take the Article 12 on the Declaration of Human Rights, No one shall be subjected to arbitrary interference with his privacy, family, home, or correspondence, nor to attacks upon his honor and reputation. Everyone has the right to the protection of the law against such interference or attacks. If the law is the one that does such attacks, we enter a paradox. This article was written in the same context of freedom of speech and thought as privacy is the main guarantee of those freedoms. Another example of how you cannot trust the government is about the Snowden papers. The NSA, it was revealed that the NSA does not spy only terrorists, but all the connection they hold. This means that everyone, no matter how dangerous, is spied. All of the data is gathered, no matter how dangerous you are. This does not seem to be only a matter of national security, but rather of political interest. To know what everyone does.
Negative team, you have 1 minute for rebuttal.
Thank you, RC. One thing I have noticed about what you said is that you insist a lot on trust, but to us, we are talking specifically about tools. Therefore, any misuse of the tool is not to blame on the tool itself. Sure, any tool can be misused, as we'll see later on. But the point here is that we are interested in what are the benefits of this. You are not really discussing what is bad in surveillance in itself. You're discussing why surveillance could be used for bad behavior, but of course anything could be used for something bad. I could murder someone with a chair if I wanted, but that doesn't make the chair bad in itself. You also talk about attacks on reputation, and while I do get your point, I still believe that individuals should be protected by the government. And if times are different from when the different articles you talked about were written and now. We have very different means of communication, and surveillance can be used to monitor these very efficiently, meaning that even if, okay, protecting people's interest is good, maybe we have to think about the fact that protecting people's interest also means protecting them physically. And it's not just about governments protecting themselves, it's also about them protecting their citizens.
Thank you, Mathieu.
Is their goal.
3 minutes for constructive speech.
It's 0.7 people, is it?
That's right.
Okay. So we're going to be looking at security, and we're going to be observing surveillance on societies. And so for now, I'll make it very clear, we are talking about the tool of surveillance. We're not talking about the human implications on this. So we will be talking about some of the benefits towards people. So of course, living in a society, we would ideally like to live in a safe society where we feel safe and we feel at home. We have no threats and we can feel safe to live, and so forth. In doing this, I will talk to Matthew's point about if there's a problem with the tool, it is not the tool's fault. It can more be seen as the person who is using the tool. And we'll divulge into this theory. I can say clearly that surveillance as a law enforcement tool depends on the laws which are currently being in state at the moment. If there's a problem with surveillance, we can ideally look at this back into a problem with the laws. And ideally, I come back to a very common analogy we find in the English language, that if I kill a man with a gun, did I kill the man or did the gun kill the man? Now, what this references back to the fact is that the gun did not kill the man. However, the man who used the gun, that man did kill that man. And this can relate back to security and therefore surveillance. And this is where we can see where surveillance does prevail over privacy. Surveillance, security offers us a great tool in our society to be able to live safely, if it's used correctly, of course. No doubt it can be used in very negative ways by humans, but that is another debate within itself. We are here only to discuss the fact that security as a tool offers us a great chance to live in a very picturesque society. Moving on to my second point, we will be looking about how surveillance and therefore security can be used by law enforcement. So no doubt in law enforcement, surveillance can offer us great potential in our society. The ease of which law enforcement can detect crimes, predict crimes, and therefore prevent crimes will be immense. And therefore, this will allow us to live in a much more safer society. Furthermore, comparing to our current system now for when we deal with crimes, we go through court cases, and sometimes these can be very convoluted and very long procedures. However, with surveillance, we do have the offer of very factual information. This factual information can be very close to the truth, and thus allow for a very rapid process of a criminal process. Therefore, we don't have a need for long court processes, and we can have a reduced cost for our law enforcement department. And therefore, it is clear that surveillance does offer us, being a tool, of course, the opportunity to live in a much more beneficial society.
Thank you, Declan. Affirmative team, you have 1 minute for rebuttal, followed by 2 minutes for a summary and conclusion.
Declan, I must say I really liked your speech. Your example of a gun was really staggering. The problem is, guns are forbidden in most countries. Would you like anyone to have access to a gun? Because you're saying that you're not discussing the tools, but you're not discussing what people do with the tools themselves. And a gun is a very dangerous tool, and I'm sure you wouldn't give it to your enemies. The people have one tool, that is law. It should not use it to give more power to those who may go against their interests. Now that I have made my point clear, I'd like to move on to my constructive speech.
Okay.
So,
conclusion, huh?
Conclusion.
oh, it's summary and conclusion
Well,
already?
you guys, that's we're following, right?
You put
You only
3
have-
steps.
No, you have 2 constructive speeches and 1 summary and conclusion,
Okay, my bad.
as
You
it
have-
was on the that I
Okay, my bad.
It's not completely the end, but we're gonna follow the format for the moment.
So
Okay.
you have 2 minutes.
Okay, then as a final summary and conclusion, I'd like to point out that they say that they want to discuss tools, but we are discussing regulations. You cannot give any tool to any person the same way you still have to take national interests at heart. When you say that you're stopping terrorism, that is a great thing, but France had, in 1999, to stop its laws on national surveillance because industrial secrets were stolen by both its own government and the other governments that were hacking into France's service. So, all I have to say is, remember that in matters of privacy and security, you have to trust yourselves, and if you can protect your own self, then why wouldn't you do it? Why would you let someone spy on you all the time? Why would you let your camera on when you shower? So yeah, the point is kind of clear. Privacy is not against security. Privacy is security, and that any organizations could use it against you, even if it's supposed to represent you and 60 over million people.
Thank you. Negative team, you have 2 minutes for conclusion.
we have, I hope you have seen with our speech that overall, favoring security over privacy simply works. We are able to stop various crimes from being committed, and we are able to prevent some deaths, which is, of course, a direct benefit. We have also seen that there is still judicial control for any condemnation, meaning that before being sent to prison, there is still a court case. We have seen as well that surveillance and other privacy versus security related tools are only tools, and that the real issue, if there is misuse, is, well, how they were used and who was using it. We have also seen that it gives significant benefits to the different law enforcement offices, such as the police, or, for example, in the United States, the FBI or the NSA, etc. We have seen that it leads to more reliable court cases because we are more able to see the truth and don't have to rely on testimonies, as well as just general efficiency improvements for our police system. Overall, it is clear that, of course, giving up some privacy for security is scary because it's something very new that has appeared with new technology. But we have to wonder whether we want to live in a society where we want to have just full-on privacy, meaning that our police forces will be less efficient and we'll have less information to do their job, or if we want to maybe let governments have a look at what we're doing. We won't have any real consequences for it. We won't go to prison. We won't get fines. The government is just checking if there is something wrong. And thanks to favoring security over privacy, we are preventing deaths, we are preventing crimes, and overall, society is better off. Thank you for listening.
That's 2 minutes.
Oh god, I'm waiting for that.
Okay.
Oh, okay, I was waiting for that.
Questions or comments from the group? From the audience?
Well, thanks for the questions then.
I'm disappointed, it's too professional.
What? Sorry?
It's too professional, I'm disappointed.
We tried.
No, I'm afraid to ask questions because I'm afraid how long the answers might be.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll make it short.
Short answers.
Yeah.
Midi, I can't resist. Why did you use the term evil?
Well, first of all, are we still in a debate? Are we still trying to convince the juries, or are these class questions?
Let's do it different. So we're gonna vote. We're gonna see who did a better job from the audience first. Then we'll move on to the questions here. How many people think that Midi and Aristide did a better job of defending their position? Whatever you might think of the, whichever position you hold.
I insist the votes are private.
Oh come on, it's fine. It's a small debate. Let's hear the people.
You see? That's our point.
That's the point. Let's hear the people. We've done a show, we've done entertainment, and now it's your turn to see who you enjoy.
Oh, that's a different debate subject. This is entertainment.
Yeah, no, it was clear that it was
Entertainment or no?
It was entertainment. It was on the group, on the Facebook group, as an entertainment, and it's filmed as an entertainment.
No, because we're very things together for the moment. How many people, how many people think Midi and Aristide did a better job? 1,
Really?
2, 3.
Right?
Oh wait, does our position so we shouldn't be biased.
Regardless of what you think.
Oh damn, bro.
No bias.
No, I'm not asking anybody to be completely subjective. Okay, how many people think that
Dude, I'm not.
Aristide did a better job at defending their position?
I would.
You have to vote, actually.
Hey, thanks, that's it.
Okay, it's 3 against 3, and I got betrayed by my best friend. Okay.
Don't trust Russians, man. Don't trust Russians.
Oh yeah, the abstention. What's the idea?
What's a
Okay,
draw?
well, we're
It's a
in
draw.
sort of a,
Well, one player.
it's sort of a weak 3 against 3. Well, so evil, yeah, briefly,
Okay.
Midi, why evil? Why the word evil?
Well, basically, it's kind of a Marvel period these times. So I wanted to reach to my audience by really using the superhero vocabulary. This is why I quote Spider-Man, and this is why I use superpowers and evil. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Great powers.
Okay, thank you for your short answer. Midi, did you say you and your users?
Yes. They are computer scientists, but we have users.
I don't understand.
Yes.
People are using computer scientists?
People,
No.
people are
No,
using,
you
yeah,
have a
people will
product
use
and you have
devices
users of this
or
product. This product is
services
yours.
that you will
Therefore, they're your
provide.
users.
You
You-
will provide
Well,
you will
fine,
provide
okay.
services in the future.
Throwing fuel on the fire.
So we're
bro.
just aiming our audience.
Just
Well,
watching it.
aren't we doing it?
I didn't get to think. What's the thing about running for president? I was not presidency, it's president.
Okay,
Oh,
my
I have a
bad.
question. Why daughters? What about my
Ooh.
sons?
Well, same thing. I checked on the EFOS. Well, there's statistics about the EFOS by populations. EFOS. Well, basically the
Ethos.
logics made. Well, it's
Don't
a
you
kind
mean
of
ethos?
Yeah, ethos.
ETHOS?
Yeah.
Ethos.
Yeah, it's a website. Basically, there's a website that puts statistics for debates, and when you target a male audience, you usually have, and you want to put them in favor, you have to say that they're in power, and male audience kind of likes to protect women, according to that same website, and it's very good for statistics. So, since we
It's trying to
pretty much
manipulate
only
the
have
audience.
males,
Next question.
yeah.
Yes, this is what you can do when you have data.
Yeah, move this.
This is all you can do when you have data. Manipulate
Next
the
question, please. Next question.
Whatever.
Well, it's a good thing there are not more girls present here.
Yeah.
I think it would be another debate.
Well,
Well, okay. Is the, again, briefly, is the law a tool? Is the law a tool?
Well,
This is their opinion. Law is
Wait,
not
who
a
are you
tool.
asking this
No,
to?
actually,
I don't know, who said?
we did. I did.
You did?
Yes.
No, we didn't.
Well, we said it was a tool.
We
talked
talked about tools, but not law.
Yeah, but not law.
I was referring to Hobbes. Basically, Hobbes said that we start in a natural state, and
Oh, so that was reference to Hobbes.
yes, we start. Hobbes, Thomas Hobbes, the person who wrote Leviathan. It's a
Leviathan.
political philosopher.
This is
We
great.
love the chic references, huh? But,
Okay,
Just to be
it-
sure,
it's
who
good
got
to-
that reference?
It's good to
Flexing with knowledge.
mention the references so we know that we're
Yeah, except that most people here may not know Hobbes, so I'm trying to reuse his argument instead of referencing him directly.
You're gonna be playing that we're done.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Next question.
Okay,
I won't take it
we're not gonna
personally.
start Hobbes because we have the other things.
Sure thing.
So I just want to look. So that
Next
comes
question.
I have what else do I have here? Oh, yeah. Is it really a question of tools? So the technology versus legislation. That's the combat.
Is that a question for us?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's.
Well,
Yeah,
not
take that.
necessarily. Our point was that the surveillance is a tool that can be used by police officers or law enforcement,
Yeah.
and that through this tool we are able to apply the law more efficiently. Not directly, of course. It's not a tool that is just putting people in prison, but it's something that will benefit for just applying the laws, basically.
Okay. Well, you got for the debate subject. What do you, now that you guys have done it,
Yeah.
everybody's heard it here. It might be a little bit too vague, no?
Yes.
What do you
Yes,
mean?
that's what
The
we said
subject?
in the beginning.
Well, I
we
feel
said
like
we said that the
Yes.
fear was that we would we'd just make too many generalizations without really.
Well,
But like,
I think what you're gonna say is right. Yeah.
Yeah, we proposed that we restrict that to cryptography, but you said that
it's too
subject was-
technical.
No, but that's what we agreed on from the beginning.
Well, when we thought of our points, we tried to keep it general and see what are the consequences and the implications of favoring, in general, security over privacy. That was our main idea when we thought of our points. Is that we are linking a general idea of favoring security. We're saying, okay, if we use this idea,
correctly.
not even necessarily correctly, but if we take this idea, what's going to happen? And our points were, what are the good things that are going to happen?
But we just wanted to steer clear away from the fact that, like, yeah, for sure, like, there will be people who use it for, like, very bad intentions. That wasn't the debate for us. The debate was talking about how surveillance,
What
the notion of surveillance.
And just privacy and
Yeah.
security in general.
Yeah.
Not specifically how humans are mistreating it. The debate wasn't are human doing wrong things with security versus privacy. It's more about what are the benefits of security versus privacy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's still vague.
Oh, okay.
That's a fallacy.
Trust yourself. I can't.
In that case, I didn't do a good debate.
Maybe that's you again.
That was
Trust
pretty
yourself.
clear on my sheet.
Yeah.
No, no, I get what you mean.
Well, I won't say anything more about that. But yeah, of course. There's another. That's another debate.
Let's get it.
Okay. Well, people, with a little bit of time we have, nobody should move. We're gonna right now decide all the teams and all the subjects. I have here. So we have 4 debates. There's 16 people. 16 people logically. 4 debates. One is done. There are 3 more. We have 2 more days after this one. So right now, I want 4 people for video games or art. I want to say a quick word about that. Yesterday, I had a rather unpleasant discussion with some students. It's interesting, but unpleasant. I was trying to warn them about the video game / art debate to make sure that we were not going to reinvent the wheel. In other words, after all these presentations, the idea is not to have debates about what art is. Normally, you know that. After all the presentations we've had, so I want to make sure that whoever does it, the people should feel reassured that there's a lot to say, but that it should be as well prepared as what we hear here today. You guys have to show you know what you're talking about. So, who wants to sign on for video games or art? I need 2 people who agree and 2 people who disagree. Before you volunteer, or tell everybody, what I told everybody else, which is logically, I'm using the word logic, science, in terms of brain power. Logically, the people who disagree have history on their side and should have an easier job. Despite that, every year we get to this point, and 95% of the people think that, of course, video games are art. Logically, for me, with the experience I have listening to people, and my experience in art, and my complete lack of experience in video games, the challenge should be for, after 3,000 years of the history of Western art, it should be easy for you people to show that all these centuries of art have created a definition, and that has allowed people to make a distinction between what is an artwork and what is a game. A game, just as you should be able to understand what is an artwork as opposed to what is a sport. Is there overlap? There could be overlap, and the overlap is the part we're talking about. So rather than thinking, oh, of course, video games are art, you guys should be thinking, what video games might I choose? What video games come close to having the same characteristics as the artworks that were presented in class? There aren't many. There cannot be many. Second, I'm going to say it. I'm not doing the debate for you people. I'm just laying out a few rules. Not rules. Keep in mind. Second, the other obvious thing to keep in mind is that I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, there's a thing called video art. It's been around for 40 years. Video artists who use video, who use images and sound and computers to make what they call video art. It's not a game. It's called video art. Okay, so we're going to do it. We're going to do the debate. I'll take it in volunteers. But everybody should understand that the idea is to raise the level, especially with your level of English. You should be able to raise the level of thinking here. We're not going to come in, guys walking in the door saying, well, of course video games are art. Why? Because in video game you have music, and in video game you have color, and you have all these, we're not going to do that. Okay, so it's just for fun, it's just for fun. But let's talk about something interesting like the guys did today. They talked about those were some of the big issues. So and so those are the things that I want to hear people talking about. That's how you guys are gonna learn. You're gonna learn to think. So who agrees video games are art and who wants to disagree? I can leave it for the end. If we leave it for the end, it will be the default group. I don't mind that. Nobody wants to take that on.
Sir, is it possible to hear all the debates first and then?
So afterwards, what I wrote down here is the media have too much power. I heard that yesterday. It was really not very good, but I think that I understand why. So maybe I can say a few words about that. The humanities should be a part of the university system. I don't know who wants to go against that. But,
I do. I'm just kidding.
Current governments are not able to solve The problems of the 21st century. Yeah.
That's the other group.
Oh, actually, that was one of the debates at home.
Current governments are not able to solve problems of the 21st century.
That's a
We
good,
didn't
that's
have
a
that
good
many,
one.
so-
That's a really good one. That's a good.
Can't
If you do enough research, that one is great.
Whatever. So, otherwise, if you guys don't want to, we have to decide now, because we have 2 classes left, and we're going to have at least 2 debates in one of them. So there are 3 debates left, so that everybody can speak. So I should let's just go random. Nobody's volunteering for anything. Just go random.
There was a topic about legalizing marijuana.
Cannabis should be legalized.
Yes.
Yeah, that was one of our topics.
Yeah, okay. No, I do because it's sort of classic. Generally, we tend to do things that are a little less classic. I don't mind.
I've been sleeping.
Who agrees?
Mimi.
JJ agrees. Who
Wait,
disagrees?
can you say the bar between traditional or medical?
No, it's just that. The topic.
Who disagrees? Nobody. Oh. So we're gonna go random. You disagree?
You're just going sicko mode.
Wait, is it the are you on it?
Who agrees?
I agree.
Who and me?
Should be depenalized. But no, we said legalized.
Surprising.
We're legalizing.
Legalized. So who yeah. And who disagrees?
Me.
So that's Antoine. And
I don't know.
that's all for the moment. Video games are art. Still nobody.
With picture.
I can't wait to see how much.
Not allowed.
Sorry? We have too much power. You agree or disagree? You agree?
Help people that were sick because of that.
That's you, right?
It's hard.
Yeah, review. That's.
You agree?
It's like the
I'm mad at you.
Thank you, Elise, for following your dreams, I guess.
Yeah, he gets it. He understands.
It's not about friendship.
And Ravi won't understand the sitting on the fence.
Oh yeah, they're influential.
Like, you can put your hand up for anybody.
He did not.
Go anybody else.
Sir?
Well, we're going random, huh?
Can I agree for media has too much power?
What do you want?
Media has too much
That's
power.
fine. No, range is a nice word. You agree or disagree?
Yes, I agree.
Pass it on.
No, actually, I don't mind. It's good.
Well, you're scared because you might have voted.
Okay.
I cannot say
So we have
anything
one.
because it's, I have my
I'm excited to see your presentation.
You know what?
Mohammed. Video games are art.
Actually, can I agree with the
If you want me to
cannabis?
cough like through,
Can I
just let me
disagree
know and I
how
will
with
like
Antoine?
take up time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that.
You can die halfway through.
Okay. That one's done. Media have too much power.
I'll disagree.
That's
H and H.
Yeah, but this one.
H.
Okay, who's left?
Oh,
Rami?
my bad.
Rami, what's Rami doing there?
Say goodbye, everyone.
Rami's gonna do video games are art. You disagree, Rami?
Say
I
goodbye.
didn't say goodbye.
As you just say, hi, goodbye.
I think Tristan's.
Say goodbye.
Drink water. Stay hydrated. Drink water and stay hydrated. That's the most important thing.
Elise,